Islamic history is a vast and intricate tapestry, woven with the threads of diverse cultures, groundbreaking achievements, and profound transformations. From its inception in the 7th century, Islam has influenced and been influenced by the many civilizations it encountered. This history encompasses not only the religious and spiritual evolution of the Muslim world, but also its political, social, and cultural developments. Understanding this rich history provides insight into the complex dynamics that have shaped the modern world. This book aims to explore the key events, figures, and movements that have defined Islamic history, offering a comprehensive overview that highlights its enduring legacy. The birth of Islam and the early caliphates. Islam began in the early 7th century in the Arabian Peninsula, a region dominated by tribal societies and polytheistic beliefs. The birth of Islam is inextricably linked to the life of the Prophet Muhammad, who is regarded as the final prophet in a long line of messengers from God. Muhammad was born around 570 CE in the city of Mecca, a bustling trade center. Orphaned at a young age, he was raised by his uncle and worked as a merchant, gaining a reputation for his honesty and trustworthiness. Muhammad's life took a transformative turn in 610 CE when he began receiving revelations from Allah, God, through the angel Gabriel. These revelations, which continued over 23 years, were later compiled into the Quran, the holy book of Islam. The central message of these revelations was the oneness of God, Tawhid, and the call to worship Him alone, rejecting the polytheistic practices prevalent in Mecca. Initially, Muhammad's message was met with hostility by the Quraysh, the powerful tribe that controlled Mecca. They saw his monotheistic teachings as a threat to their economic and social order, which was closely tied to the pilgrimage to the Kaaba, a major polytheistic shrine. Despite the opposition, Muhammad gained a small but devoted following. In 622 CE, facing increasing persecution, he and his followers migrated to the city of Yathrib, later known as Medina. This event, known as the Hijra, marks the beginning of the Islamic calendar. In Medina, Muhammad established a nascent Islamic state based on the principles of justice, community welfare, and religious solidarity. The Constitution of Medina, a social contract drafted by Muhammad, outlined the rights and duties of all inhabitants, Muslim and non-Muslim alike, and served as a foundation for governance. Over the next few years, conflicts between Muhammad's followers and the Meccan Quraysh escalated, leading to several key battles, including the Battle of Badr, the Battle of Uhud, and the Battle of the Trench. Despite some setbacks, Muhammad's leadership and strategic acumen eventually led to the peaceful conquest of Mecca in 630 CE. Upon his return, he cleansed the Kaaba of idols, rededicating it to the worship of Allah. Muhammad's death in 632 CE left the Muslim community in a state of uncertainty. However, his companions quickly moved to appoint Abu Bakr, one of Muhammad's closest friends and father-in-law, as the first caliph successor. Abu Bakr's brief but pivotal caliphate, 632-634 CE, focused on consolidating Muslim control over the Arabian Peninsula. He faced and quelled the Ridda Wars, a series of rebellions by tribes that sought to break away from the nascent Islamic State after Muhammad's death. Following Abu Bakr's death, Umar ibn al-Khattab became the second caliph. Umar's 10-year caliphate, 634-644 CE, was marked by remarkable military expansion and administrative reforms. Under his leadership, Muslim armies conquered vast territories, including the Sasanian Empire in Persia, and significant portions of the Byzantine Empire, including Syria, Palestine, and Egypt. These conquests were not only military triumphs, but also facilitated the spread of Islam, and its cultural and intellectual influence. Umar was succeeded by Uthman ibn Affan, whose caliphate, 644-656 CE, continued the expansion and consolidation of the Islamic State. One of Uthman's most significant contributions was the compilation of the Quran into a single standardized text, ensuring its preservation and uniformity. However, his rule also faced growing internal dissent, culminating in his assassination in 656 CE. The fourth caliph, Ali ibn Abi Talib, faced significant challenges during his caliphate, 656-1661 CE. Ali's leadership was contested by several factions, leading to the first fitna, Islamic civil war. Key events during this period included the Battle of the Camel and the Battle of Siffin. Ali's caliphate ended with his assassination, and his death marked the end of the Rashidun Caliphate. The subsequent rise of the Umayyad Caliphate, established by Muawiyah the Fur, shifted the political center of the Muslim world to Damascus and introduced a more dynastic style of governance. The Umayyads oversaw further territorial expansion, extending Muslim rule into North Africa, Spain, and Central Asia. However, their rule was also marked by increasing internal strife and discontent among non-Arab Muslims, Mawali, which eventually led to the Abbasid Revolution in 750 CE. The early caliphates played a crucial role in shaping the foundations of the Islamic world. They established key religious, political, and social institutions that would influence the development of Islamic civilization for centuries to come. The period of the Rashidun and early Umayyad caliphs was characterized by a blend of rapid expansion, administrative innovation, and internal challenges, all of which laid the groundwork for the rich tapestry of Islamic history that would unfold in subsequent centuries, the Golden Age of Islamic civilization. The Islamic Golden Age, spanning from the 8th to the 14th century, was a period of remarkable cultural, intellectual, and scientific flourishing. This era saw the Muslim world become a center of learning and innovation, attracting scholars, artists, and scientists from diverse backgrounds. The Abbasid Caliphate, which succeeded the Umayyads in 750 CE, played a pivotal role in fostering this golden age, particularly through its capital, Baghdad. Founded in 762 CE by Caliph al-Mansur, Baghdad quickly became a vibrant metropolis and a hub of intellectual activity. The city was strategically located at the crossroads of major trade routes, facilitating the exchange of ideas and goods. One of the most significant institutions established during this period was the House of Wisdom, Bait al-Hikmah. Founded by Caliph Harun al-Rashid and expanded by his son al-Ma'mun, the House of Wisdom served as a major intellectual center where scholars of various faiths and cultures gathered to translate, study, and expand upon the knowledge of ancient civilizations. The translation movement initiated by the Abbasids played a crucial role in preserving and enhancing the knowledge of the Greeks, Persians, Indians, and other ancient cultures. Scholars translated works on philosophy, medicine, mathematics, astronomy, and other sciences into Arabic, making them accessible to the broader Muslim world. This era saw the development of key scientific concepts and methodologies that would later influence both the Islamic and Western worlds. In mathematics, the Persian polymath al-Khwarizmi made groundbreaking contributions to algebra, a term derived from his work Al-Kitab al-Mukhtasar fi Hisab al-Jabr wal-Muqabala, the compendious book on calculation by completion and balancing. His work laid the foundation for modern algebra and introduced the concept of algorithms, which are fundamental to computer science today. Other notable mathematicians, such as Omar Khayyam and Al-Kindi, further advanced the fields of geometry and number theory. Astronomy also flourished during the Islamic Golden Age. Scholars such as al-Battani, al-Sufi, and Ibn al-Haytham made significant contributions to our understanding of the cosmos. Al-Battani accurately determined the length of the solar year and improved the precision of astronomical tables. Al-Sufi's Book of Fixed Stars provided detailed descriptions and illustrations of the constellations, blending Greek and Arab astronomical knowledge. Ibn al-Haytham, known in the West as Al-Hazan, made pioneering contributions to optics, including the study of light and vision. His work, Book of Optics, laid the groundwork for modern optics and influenced later scientists such as Roger Bacon and Johannes Kepler. Medicine was another field that saw significant advancements during this period. The Persian physician Avicenna, Ibn Sina, wrote The Canon of Medicine, a comprehensive medical encyclopedia that remained a standard reference in both the Islamic world and Europe for centuries. Avicenna's work synthesized the medical knowledge of the Greeks, Romans, and Persians, and introduced innovative concepts in the diagnosis and treatment of diseases. Other prominent physicians, such as Razis, made important contributions to fields such as pediatrics, ophthalmology, and pharmacology. The arts and literature also thrived during the Islamic Golden Age. Persian poets like Rumi and Ferdowsi produced masterpieces that continue to be celebrated today. Rumi's spiritual poetry, particularly his work Masnavi, has had a profound impact on Sufi thought and literature. Ferdowsi's Shahnameh, Book of Kings, an epic poem recounting the history of Persia, is considered one of the greatest works of Persian literature. In addition to poetry, prose literature flourished with the development of historical chronicles, philosophical treatises, and works of fiction such as 1001 Nights. The flourishing of arts and sciences was facilitated by a culture of patronage and an openness to knowledge from various traditions. The Abbasid caliphs and other Muslim rulers actively supported scholars and artists, providing them with the resources and environments conducive to their work. This period also saw the establishment of numerous libraries, observatories, and madrasas, educational institutions, across the Islamic world, further promoting the dissemination of knowledge. Trade and commerce played a crucial role in the economic prosperity of the Islamic Golden Age. The Muslim world was at the heart of a vast trade network that connected the Mediterranean, the Middle East, Africa, and Asia. Cities like Baghdad, Cairo, and Cordoba became major commercial hubs where goods and ideas flowed freely. The use of a common language, Arabic, and a unified system of weights and measures facilitated trade and communication across this diverse and expansive region. The Islamic Golden Age was not confined to the Abbasid Caliphate alone. Other regions, such as Al-Andalus, Islamic Spain, and the Fatimid Caliphate in North Africa, also experienced periods of cultural and intellectual flourishing. In Al-Andalus, cities like Cordoba, Seville, and Granada became centers of learning and culture. The Great Mosque of Cordoba and the Alhambra in Granada are enduring architectural legacies of this period. Scholars like Averroes, Ibn Rushd, and Maimonides, Musa ibn Maimun, made significant contributions to philosophy and medicine, bridging the intellectual traditions of the Islamic and Western worlds. The Islamic Golden Age represents a period of unparalleled intellectual and cultural achievement. The advancements made in science, medicine, mathematics, and the arts during this era had a lasting impact on the development of human civilization. The legacy of this golden age continues to be felt today, as the knowledge and discoveries of Muslim scholars laid the groundwork for many modern disciplines and contributed to the global heritage of knowledge and culture. The rise and fall of empires. The post-Rashidun period in Islamic history saw the rise of powerful empires that would shape the political, cultural, and religious landscape of the Muslim world for centuries. Among these, the Umayyad, Abbasid, Seljuk, Fatimid, and Ottoman empires were particularly influential, each leaving a distinct mark on history. The Umayyad Caliphate, 661-750 CE, was the first major Islamic empire following the era of the Rashidun caliphs. Centered in Damascus, the Umayyads expanded Islamic rule far beyond the Arabian Peninsula. Under their leadership, Muslim armies conquered vast territories, including North Africa, Spain, and parts of Central Asia. The Battle of Tours in 732, where Frankish leader Charles Martel halted the Umayyad advance into Europe, marked a significant turning point. Despite their military successes, the Umayyads faced growing dissent due to their perceived favoritism towards Arab Muslims and the marginalization of non-Arab converts, Mawali. This discontent culminated in the Abbasid Revolution, which overthrew the Umayyad dynasty. The Abbasid Caliphate, 750-1258 CE, ushered in a golden age of Islamic civilization. Moving the capital to Baghdad, the Abbasids fostered a vibrant cultural and intellectual environment. Baghdad became a melting pot of ideas, attracting scholars, scientists, and artists from across the Muslim world and beyond. The Abbasid rulers, particularly during the reigns of Harun al-Rashid and his son al-Ma'mun, patronized the arts and sciences, establishing institutions like the House of Wisdom. Here, scholars translated and built upon the works of the Greeks, Persians, and Indians, making significant advancements in fields such as mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and philosophy. Despite their cultural achievements, the Abbasids struggled to maintain political control over their vast empire. Regional governors and local dynasties, such as the Tulunids in Egypt and the Buyids in Persia, gradually gained autonomy. The empire's fragmentation was exacerbated by the rise of the Seljuk Turks in the 11th century. The Seljuks, initially serving as mercenaries for the Abbasids, soon established their own empire, capturing Baghdad in 1055 and reducing the Abbasid caliphs to mere figureheads. The Seljuk Empire played a crucial role in the revival of Sunni Islam and the containment of Shiite influence, particularly that of the Fatimid Caliphate in Egypt. The Seljuks also set the stage for the Crusades, a series of religious wars initiated by European Christians aiming to reclaim the Holy Land from Muslim control. The First Crusade, 1096 to 1099, resulted in the capture of Jerusalem and the establishment of several Crusader states. The subsequent Crusades, however, saw Muslim leaders like Salah ad-Din, recapture Jerusalem and effectively resist further European advances. In Egypt, the Fatimid Caliphate, 909-1171 CE, emerged as a significant power. The Fatimids, who claimed descent from Fatima, the daughter of the Prophet Muhammad, established a Shiite state with its capital in Cairo. Under their rule, Cairo became a center of learning and culture, rivaling Baghdad. The Fatimids' influence extended across North Africa, Sicily, and the Levant, but internal strife and external pressures, including the Crusades and the rise of the Ayyubid dynasty under Saladin, eventually led to their decline. The most enduring and influential of the later Islamic empires was the Ottoman Empire, 1299-1922. Founded by Osman I in the late 13th century, the Ottomans gradually expanded their territory, culminating in the conquest of Constantinople in 1453 by Sultan Mehmed II. This event marked the end of the Byzantine Empire and established the Ottomans as a dominant power in the Eastern Mediterranean. The Ottomans continued their expansion into Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East, creating a vast and diverse empire. Under Suleiman the Magnificent, 1520-1566, the Ottoman Empire reached its zenith, Suleiman's reign was marked by significant military conquests, administrative reforms, and cultural patronage. The Ottomans developed a sophisticated bureaucracy, a powerful military, and a vibrant cultural scene, with Istanbul, formerly Constantinople, becoming a major center of art, architecture, and learning. The Ottomans also played a crucial role in shaping the religious landscape of the Muslim world, promoting Sunni Islam and establishing the role of the Sultan as both a political and religious leader. Despite its successes, the Ottoman Empire faced numerous challenges. The empire's vast size and diversity made it difficult to govern, leading to administrative inefficiencies and corruption. The rise of European powers and the advent of new military technologies further weakened the Ottomans' dominance. The empire's decline accelerated in the 19th century, culminating in its dissolution after World War I and the establishment of the modern Turkish Republic in 1923. The rise and fall of these empires left a lasting legacy on the Muslim world. They shaped the political boundaries, cultural practices, and religious institutions that continue to influence Muslim societies today. The interplay between central authority and regional autonomy, the integration of diverse cultures, and the challenges of governing vast territories are recurring themes in Islamic history that resonate in contemporary discussions about governance and identity in the Muslim world. Islamic influence in medieval and Renaissance Europe. The interactions between the Islamic world and Europe during the medieval and Renaissance periods were marked by a complex interplay of conflict, trade, and cultural exchange. These interactions significantly influenced the development of European civilization, particularly in the realms of science, philosophy, and the arts. One of the earliest and most significant points of contact was the Iberian Peninsula, where Muslim armies, under the banner of the Umayyad Caliphate, established the state of Al-Andalus in 711 CE. Over the next several centuries, Al-Andalus became a beacon of learning and culture, with cities like Cordoba, Seville, and Granada emerging as centers of intellectual and artistic achievement. The Great Mosque of Cordoba, with its intricate architecture and stunning mosaics, exemplified the sophisticated urban culture of Al-Andalus. Muslim scholars in Al-Andalus made substantial contributions to various fields of knowledge, which were later transmitted to Europe. The translation movement in Toledo, where scholars translated Arabic texts into Latin, played a crucial role in this process. Works by Muslim philosophers such as Ibn Rushd, Averroes, and Ibn Sina, Avicenna, were studied by European scholars, influencing the development of scholasticism and the Renaissance. Ibn Rushd's commentaries on Aristotle in particular had a profound impact on thinkers like Thomas Aquinas, helping to bridge the gap between classical Greek philosophy and medieval European thought. The Crusades, 1096 to 1291, were another significant point of contact between the Islamic world and Europe. While primarily military conflicts, the Crusades also facilitated cultural and intellectual exchanges. European crusaders encountered advanced Muslim societies with their sophisticated sciences, medical knowledge, and urban culture. The Crusades exposed Europeans to new ideas and technologies, including medical practices, navigational instruments, and architectural techniques. Trade played a crucial role in the interactions between the Islamic world and medieval Europe. The Silk Road and other trade routes facilitated the exchange of goods and ideas between East and West. Muslim merchants and explorers such as Ibn Battuta traveled extensively, bringing with them knowledge of distant lands and cultures. European cities like Venice and Genoa became key centers of trade, benefiting from their connections with the Muslim world. The introduction of new crops such as rice, sugar, and citrus fruits transformed European agriculture and cuisine. The intellectual and cultural exchanges between the Islamic world and Europe reached their zenith during the Renaissance, 14th to 17th centuries. The revival of classical learning and the rediscovery of ancient Greek and Roman texts were significantly influenced by the earlier transmission of knowledge from the Islamic world. Renaissance scholars such as Leonardo da Vinci and Galileo Galilei were deeply influenced by the scientific and philosophical traditions preserved and enhanced by Muslim scholars. The influence of Islamic architecture is evident in many Renaissance buildings. The use of intricate geometric patterns, arabesques, and domes in European architecture can be traced back to Islamic artistic traditions. The Alhambra in Granada, with its stunning mosaics and elaborate stucco work, inspired European architects and artists, contributing to the development of the Gothic and Renaissance styles. In the field of medicine, the works of Muslim physicians such as Avicenna and Al-Razis continued to be authoritative sources in European medical schools well into the Renaissance. Avicenna's Canon of Medicine was a standard reference, and his insights into anatomy, pharmacology, and surgical techniques were highly valued. The translation of Arabic medical texts into Latin and their incorporation into the European curriculum significantly advanced the practice of medicine in Europe. The transmission of knowledge and cultural exchange was not a one-way street. The Islamic world also benefited from its interactions with Europe. The introduction of European innovations, such as the printing press, had a transformative impact on Muslim societies. The exchange of ideas and technologies continued to shape the development of both civilizations, contributing to a rich tapestry of shared intellectual and cultural heritage. Despite the significant contributions of the Islamic world to European civilization, the interactions were not without conflict and tension. The Reconquista, the Christian reconquest of the Iberian Peninsula, culminated in the fall of Granada in 1492 and the expulsion of Muslims and Jews from Spain. The Ottoman Empire's expansion into Europe, including the Siege of Vienna in 1683, fueled fears and hostilities, shaping the perception of Islam in Europe for centuries. The legacy of these interactions is complex and multifaceted. On one hand, the exchange of knowledge and culture between the Islamic world and Europe contributed to the flowering of European civilization and the Renaissance. On the other hand, the conflicts and tensions that arose from these interactions have left a lasting impact on relations between the Muslim world and the West. In recent years, there has been a growing recognition of the contributions of the Islamic world to global civilization. Scholars and historians are increasingly highlighting the interconnectedness of human history and the importance of cross-cultural exchanges. The rich legacy of Islamic influence on medieval and Renaissance Europe serves as a reminder of the potential for collaboration and mutual enrichment between different cultures and civilizations. The story of Islamic influence on Europe is not just a tale of the past. It continues to resonate in contemporary discussions about cultural identity, religious tolerance, and global interconnectedness. By understanding and appreciating this shared heritage, we can foster greater understanding and cooperation between the Muslim world and the West, building bridges of knowledge and respect that transcend historical divisions. Colonialism and the modern Muslim world. The onset of European colonialism in the Muslim world marked a period of profound upheaval, disruption, and transformation. Beginning in the late 15th century and accelerating through the 19th and early 20th centuries, European powers sought to expand their empires, driven by economic interests, strategic considerations, and a sense of cultural superiority. This era saw the disintegration of traditional political structures, the imposition of new economic systems, and significant social changes in Muslim-majority regions. One of the earliest and most dramatic instances of European colonialism in the Muslim world was the Portuguese exploration and conquest of parts of the Indian Ocean region. By the early 16th century, the Portuguese had established a presence in Goa, India, and other key maritime locations, disrupting existing trade networks dominated by Muslim merchants. The Portuguese were soon followed by the Dutch, British, and French, each vying for control over lucrative trade routes and territories. In the Middle East and North Africa, the decline of the Ottoman Empire in the 18th and 19th centuries created opportunities for European intervention and colonization. The French invasion of Egypt in 1798 under Napoleon Bonaparte marked a significant turning point. Although the French occupation was short-lived, it exposed the region to European military and technological superiority and set the stage for further European involvement. In 1830, France began its long and brutal colonization of Algeria, which lasted until 1962 and left deep scars on the Algerian society and psyche. The British Empire, meanwhile, expanded its influence across the Indian subcontinent. Following the Battle of Plassey in 1757 and the subsequent decline of the Mughal Empire, the British East India Company gradually extended its control, culminating in the establishment of the British Raj in 1858. British rule in India brought significant economic and administrative changes, including the introduction of Western education, legal systems, and infrastructure. However, it also led to the exploitation of India's resources, economic hardship for many Indians, and the marginalization of traditional Muslim elites. In the Persian Gulf and Arabian Peninsula, the British established a network of protectorates and treaties with local rulers, ensuring control over key maritime routes and oil reserves. The discovery of oil in the early 20th century transformed the region's geopolitical landscape, with European powers keen to secure access to this valuable resource. In Iran, British and Russian influence led to significant political and economic interventions, culminating in the 1907 Anglo-Russian Convention, which divided Iran into spheres of influence. The impact of European colonialism on the Muslim world was multifaceted and complex. Economically, colonial powers restructured local economies to serve their interests, focusing on the extraction of raw materials and the creation of markets for European manufactured goods. This often resulted in the disruption of traditional industries and agrarian systems, leading to economic dependency and underdevelopment. Socially, colonial rule introduced new class dynamics, with a small elite often collaborating with the colonizers, while the majority of the population faced economic hardship and social marginalization. Culturally, colonialism had a profound impact on Muslim societies. European education systems, languages, and cultural norms were imposed, often at the expense of local traditions and languages. This led to a complex interplay of resistance and adaptation, as some segments of society embraced aspects of European culture, while others sought to preserve their own heritage. The introduction of Western legal and political concepts also influenced the development of nationalist movements, as educated elites began to articulate demands for self-determination and independence. The struggle for independence from colonial rule was a defining feature of the 20th century in the Muslim world. Nationalist movements emerged across Asia, Africa, and the Middle East, often led by charismatic leaders who mobilized popular support against colonial powers. In India, the Indian National Congress and the Muslim League played crucial roles in the push for independence, which was finally achieved in 1947. The partition of India and the creation of Pakistan, however, led to widespread violence and displacement, setting the stage for ongoing conflicts between the two nations. In the Arab world, the end of World War II and the weakening of European colonial powers provided an impetus for independence movements. Countries such as Egypt, Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon gained independence in the mid-20th century, although the process was often marked by internal strife and external interference. The creation of the State of Israel in 1948 and the subsequent Arab-Israeli conflict had a profound and lasting impact on the region, leading to multiple wars and the displacement of Palestinian populations. North Africa saw its own struggles for independence, most notably in Algeria, where a brutal war of liberation against French colonial rule took place from 1954 to 1962. The war was characterized by widespread atrocities, including torture and massacres, and left deep divisions in both Algerian and French societies. In sub-Saharan Africa, countries such as Sudan, Nigeria, and Somalia also achieved independence in the mid-20th century, although the legacies of colonialism continued to shape their political and economic landscapes. The post-colonial period brought new challenges for the Muslim world. Newly independent states faced the daunting task of nation-building, often in the context of ethnic and sectarian divisions exacerbated by colonial policies. Economic development was a priority, but many countries struggled with poverty, corruption, and the legacies of economic exploitation. The Cold War also played a significant role, as both the United States and the Soviet Union sought to extend their influence in the region, often supporting authoritarian regimes that aligned with their strategic interests. In some countries, the struggle for independence was followed by internal conflicts and civil wars. In Indonesia, the overthrow of President Sukarno in 1965 led to a violent anti-communist purge and the establishment of a military-dominated regime under President Suharto. In Afghanistan, the Soviet invasion in 1979 triggered a prolonged conflict that eventually led to the rise of the Taliban and ongoing instability. In Iran, the 1979 Islamic Revolution overthrew the pro-Western Shah and established an Islamic Republic, fundamentally altering the region's political dynamics. The late 20th and early 21st centuries have seen ongoing struggles for political reform and social justice in the Muslim world. The Arab Spring uprisings of 2010 to 2011, which began in Tunisia and spread across the Middle East and North Africa, highlighted widespread dissatisfaction with authoritarian rule, economic inequality, and lack of political freedoms. While the uprisings led to the overthrow of long-standing dictators in some countries, such as Tunisia, Egypt, and Libya, they also resulted in ongoing conflicts and instability in others, such as Syria and Yemen. The rise of political Islam has been another significant development in the post-colonial Muslim world. Islamist movements, such as the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt and the Ennahda Party in Tunisia, have sought to integrate Islamic principles into political governance, often in response to perceived failures of secular nationalist regimes. While some Islamist movements have participated in democratic processes, others have resorted to violence, leading to complex and often contentious political landscapes. Economic challenges remain a pressing issue for many Muslim-majority countries. Despite the wealth generated by oil and natural gas in some regions, economic inequality, unemployment, and poverty persist. Efforts to diversify economies and promote sustainable development are ongoing, but progress is often hampered by political instability, corruption, and global economic fluctuations. The Muslim world today is characterized by its diversity and complexity. From the bustling metropolises of Istanbul, Cairo, and Jakarta, to the conflict-ridden regions of Syria, Yemen, and Afghanistan. The legacies of colonialism, the struggles for independence, and the ongoing challenges of nation-building continue to shape the lives of millions. Understanding this history is essential for grasping the current dynamics and future trajectories of Muslim-majority countries and their role in the global community. Contemporary issues and the future of Islam. The contemporary Muslim world is facing a multitude of challenges and opportunities as it navigates the complexities of the 21st century. Political instability, economic development, social justice, and religious reform are some of the key issues that are shaping the future of Islam and its role in the global community. One of the most pressing challenges is political instability and conflict. The Middle East and North Africa, MENA region in particular, has been plagued by ongoing wars and civil strife. The Syrian civil war, which began in 2011, has resulted in immense human suffering, with hundreds of thousands of people killed and millions displaced. The conflict has also drawn in regional and global powers, complicating efforts for a peaceful resolution. Similarly, the conflict in Yemen has created a humanitarian crisis, with widespread famine and disease exacerbating the suffering of the population. Political instability is not limited to the MENA region. In Afghanistan, the withdrawal of US and NATO forces in 2021 and the subsequent takeover by the Taliban have raised concerns about human rights, particularly for women and minorities, and the potential for renewed conflict. In sub-Saharan Africa, countries such as Somalia and Nigeria continue to grapple with insurgencies by extremist groups like Al-Shabaab and Boko Haram, which have carried out attacks on civilians and undermined state authority. The rise of extremism and terrorism remains a significant concern for many Muslim-majority countries and the international community. Groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda have exploited political vacuums and social grievances to recruit followers and carry out attacks. These groups often justify their actions through a radical interpretation of Islam, which has been widely condemned by mainstream Muslim scholars and communities. Efforts to combat extremism include military interventions, counter-terrorism measures, and initiatives to counter radicalization through education and community engagement. Economic development is another critical issue facing the Muslim world. While some countries, particularly those with abundant natural resources like the Gulf states, have achieved significant economic growth and development, many others continue to struggle with poverty, unemployment, and economic inequality. The challenge of diversifying economies away from dependence on oil and gas is particularly pressing, as fluctuating global energy prices can have significant impacts on national revenues and development plans. Efforts to promote economic development often focus on improving education, infrastructure, and governance. Education is seen as a key driver of development, and many Muslim-majority countries are investing in expanding access to quality education, particularly for women and girls. Infrastructure development, including transportation, energy, and technology, is also critical for supporting economic growth and improving living standards. Good governance, transparency, and efforts to combat corruption are essential for creating an environment conducive to economic development and attracting foreign investment. Social justice and human rights are important issues for contemporary Muslim societies. There is a growing recognition of the need to address issues such as gender equality, minority rights, and social inclusion. Women in many Muslim-majority countries are advocating for greater rights and opportunities, challenging traditional norms and legal frameworks that restrict their participation in public life. While progress has been made in some areas, significant challenges remain, particularly in regions where conservative interpretations of Islamic law and cultural practices limit women's rights. The treatment of religious and ethnic minorities is another important aspect of social justice. In countries like Iraq, Syria, and Myanmar, minority groups such as Yazidis, Christians, and Rohingya Muslims have faced persecution and violence. Efforts to promote tolerance, protect minority rights, and foster social cohesion are essential for building inclusive and stable societies. Religious reform is a topic of ongoing debate and discussion within the Muslim world. Many scholars and intellectuals are advocating for a re-examination of traditional interpretations of Islamic law and theology in light of contemporary challenges and realities. This includes issues such as human rights, gender equality, and the relationship between religion and state. The reformist movement seeks to reconcile Islamic principles with modern values and promote a more inclusive and progressive understanding of Islam. The role of political Islam is another key issue in the contemporary Muslim world. Islamist movements and parties, which seek to integrate Islamic principles into political governance, have gained varying degrees of influence in different countries. In some cases, such as Turkey and Tunisia, Islamist parties have participated in democratic processes and sought to balance religious values with democratic principles. In other contexts, however, political Islam has been associated with authoritarianism and conflict, as seen in the experiences of countries like Egypt and Sudan. Globalization and technological advancements are also shaping the future of Islam in the Muslim world. The internet and social media have created new platforms for the exchange of ideas and information, enabling Muslims around the world to connect and engage in discussions about faith, politics, and social issues. This has facilitated the spread of reformist ideas and allowed for greater diversity of thought within the Muslim community. Globalization has also brought challenges, including the spread of consumer culture and the erosion of traditional values. The influence of Western culture and lifestyles is often seen as a threat to Islamic identity and values, leading to tensions and debates about cultural preservation and modernization. At the same time, globalization has created opportunities for economic integration and collaboration as Muslim-majority countries engage in global trade and investment networks. The future of Islam and the Muslim world will be shaped by how these contemporary issues are addressed. The ability to navigate political instability, promote economic development, achieve social justice, and engage in meaningful religious reform will determine the trajectory of Muslim-majority societies in the 21st century. The rich tapestry of Islamic history, with its legacy of intellectual and cultural achievements, provides a foundation for addressing these challenges and building a future that honors the principles of justice, compassion, and knowledge that are central to the Islamic tradition. The Muslim world is not monolithic, and the diversity of experiences, perspectives, and aspirations among Muslims globally will continue to shape the evolution of Islam and its role in the world. As Muslims grapple with the complexities of modernity, they draw on their rich heritage to seek solutions that are rooted in their faith, while also responsive to contemporary realities. The interplay between tradition and innovation, faith and reason, and local and global influences will define the future of Islam and its contributions to the global community. The contemporary Muslim world stands at a crossroads, facing significant challenges, but also possessing immense potential. The rich tapestry of Islamic history offers valuable lessons and inspiration for addressing these challenges and building a future that is just, inclusive, and prosperous. By embracing the principles of knowledge, justice, and compassion that are central to the Islamic tradition, Muslims can navigate the complexities of the modern world and contribute to a more harmonious and interconnected global community.